of Markov inequality. Anybody? Anybody has seen the Markov inequality video, which I told you to go through it? A single student is there who has seen it? Please write in the chat box if yes. Not a single student has seen, right? Fine. Let me start with the video itself and then we will discuss. But just for the sake of revision, I will repeat this fact again. We have seen in the last lecture Markov inequality, and what the inequality says, if x is any non-negative random, have I shared my screen?
No, ma'am.
Yeah, I will say. Yes. So we have seen the Markov inequality and its statement is if x is any non-negative random variable, then we can get probability of x greater than or equal to a. An upper bound of for it will be expectation of x upon a, where a is any non-negative number, right? What we discussed in the last lecture is even if you don't know the distribution of the variable, if you just know the average value that variable can take, that means expectation of x, you can get some idea about probability of x greater than or equal to a, the idea about its upper bound. That probability will be less than or equal to some number. See, if you were not having any kind of information apart from expectation of x, then this Markov inequality is very much important. Why? Because when you don't have any information apart from the average value that variable can take, then at least you can get some idea about the upper bound. Probability that the variable takes extreme values will be less than or equal to some number. At least you will get such kind of information. And we have seen many examples based on Markov inequality. Now let us watch that video and uh, have more information about what I wanted to say. Last time you told me ki, the video is not that much audible, but you still try to understand. And what I want to say, I will add into it. Yeah, I'm forwarding because the proof I have already described to you, right? So that you can see later on. Try to understand what he wants to say about this example. I will show you in Excel also what he wants to say, but you try to understand first what has been said in this video. Try to understand this example. Why we are going, see, earlier, why we came towards this Marco inequality. The intention is when we don't have any information apart from expectation of X, at least we are getting some kind of bound because of Marco inequality. But now what is happening, we have seen in this example. What is he saying? If X is exponential with lambda is equal to 1. Are you getting? X follows exponential distribution with parameter 1. Then what will be PDF of X? Can anybody tell? PDF of X? Are we there in the meeting? Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Okay, thank you. Otherwise, I will feel like that I'm talking with a wall or something or with laptop because there is not at all a response from anybody. What is happening nowadays? We don't know. Don't you know the PDF of exponential distribution also? Or you don't want to take pain of unmuting yourself and telling it? Anyways, then our interest will also lose and then we will just try to finish the syllabus. That's it.
Lambda into e raised to minus lambda x.
Yeah, and when lambda is equal to 1, it will become e raised to minus x, right? Now we are interested in finding probability of x greater than or equal to a is less than or equal to by I want to find the upper bound for this probability statement, probability of x greater than or equal to a. Now, by using Marco inequality, since here exponential with mean is equal to 1, expectation of x is 1, and Marco uh, inequality will give me a bound of 1 by a, right? Whereas if I find actual probability of exponential distribution, what the probability will be? It will be e raised to minus a. Now try to understand 1 by a. When you change a, this bound will fall with the rate 1 by a. Whereas this actual probability is falling with the rate e raised to minus a. So rate of falling of actual probability is more as compared to rate of falling of the bound. You can see the difference between actual probability and bound. When the bound will be a good bound if actual probability and the bound given by the inequality, when inequality will give a good bound, rather when actual probability and the bound they will be close to each other, but here it is not the case, right? Because we have a very less information about the variable, and that is its mean. And what does it tell me? Since it is not a good bound, because of this, we are, that is the intuition behind we are going to the next inequality, which is Chebyshev's inequality. We will see it afterwards. But I would like to show you the Excel calculation which I did. See here, what is given? X is following exponential distribution with mean 1. Okay. Now I have taken different values of A. Which are the different values of A? I have taken from 2 to 10. You can take any of the values. Now what are the actual probabilities? Which probabilities I want actually? By Markov inequality, I can find probability of X greater than or equal to some number, say A. What Markov inequality gives me? The bound it gives me is it is less than or equal to what? Expectation of X upon A. This is what is Markov inequality, right? So which actual probabilities did I calculate over here is probability of X greater than or equal to A. For example, when A is equal to 2, I calculated probability of X greater than or equal to 2. And how much it will be if X is exponential with mean 1, then PDF of exponential distribution will be e raised to minus x, isn't it? Now, x greater than or equal to 2 probability, when fx is e raised to minus x, it will be e raised to minus 2. You just try to find out the derivation. Integral from 2 to infinity fx dx. What is my fx? E raised to minus x. Then what it will be? It will be e raised to minus 2. So I calculated this actual probability for different values of A. Right? Now look at these numbers. When A is equal to 2, probability is 0.13. When A is equal to 3, probability of X greater than or equal to 3 is 0.04. It is falling down. Right? And now I found Markov bound with the help of expectation of X is equal to 1, which is given to us. Suppose I don't know the distribution is exponential. What only I have is mean of X is 1. Right? Then what will be the bound in that case? 1 by A. Now when A is equal to 2, bound will be half, because bound is 1 by A. When A is equal to 3, bound will be 0.33. When A is equal to 4, bound is 1 by 4, that is 0.25. Now I plotted these bounds. I have taken on x-axis values of A. When A is equal to 2, right? What is my actual probability of X greater than or equal to 2? It is falling at here. What bound gives me? It is less than or equal to 0.5. Try to understand. Bound tells me that probability of X greater than or equal to 2 is less than or equal to 0.5. And what is the actual probability? Probability of X greater than or equal to 2 is 0.13. Fine, bound is not telling me that it is exactly 0.5. It is telling me probability of X greater than or equal to 2, it is less than 0.5. But how much less? Try to get the difference between actual probabilities and bound. See the difference between them. here the distance between them is this much, here the distance between them is this much. But you try to understand, यहाँ पे rate of falling of actual probability, because it is e raised to minus a, it is quite higher than this. See the distance between Markov bound and actual probability. Fine, the probability bound says that the probability of x greater than or equal to a is less than or equal to these numbers. But how much less? When this will be a good bound? Actually ये curve अगर इससे नजदीक होता तो, यहाँ कहीं पे होता तो. But is it the case over here? No, it is far from the actual probability. So is it a good bound in this case? No. But suppose I don't have the, what you can say, I don't know actual distribution of the random variable x, and what I know only is expectation of x. Then I am at least getting some idea about the variable probabilities, right? At least upper bound कि मेरी probabilities इससे ज्यादा तो नहीं होंगी, right? In that case, the Markov inequality will be good. But otherwise, if I know the actual distribution, the Markov inequality is not giving me that good idea about the probabilities. That is what I wanted to tell you from that video. Let's see one more example in the video. Try to understand this. X is uniform over minus 4 to 4. Is it non-negative random variable right now? No. Right? So I cannot apply Markov inequality in this case to find probability of x greater than or equal to 3. So now what he is doing? Try to understand. See what he is saying. Fine, we cannot find by using Markov inequality probability of x greater than or equal to 3, because what do we want in Markov inequality? X to be a non-negative random variable. Okay, but if I consider mod x, Now, probability of mod x greater than or equal to 3. What will be the relationship between x greater than or equal to 3 and mod x greater than or equal to 3? Mod x greater than or equal to 3 means x is greater than or equal to 3 as well as minus x is greater than or equal to 3. So what does it mean? X greater than or equal to 3 means this part, and x less than or equal to minus 3 means this green part, right? So that means mod x greater than or equal to 3 is probability of this part as well as plus this part, which will be definitely greater than or equal to probability of only x is greater than or equal to 3, right? Now mod x also follows uniform distribution over 0 to 4. Okay, so what will be expect now? Can I apply Markov inequality to mod x? Yes, because mod x is a non-negative variable now, and its distribution is also uniform over 0 to 4, right? So what will be expectation of mod x? It will be 2. And by applying Markov inequality to this mod x greater than or equal to 3, it gives me the bound of 2 by 3, right? But see, I wanted the bound for x greater than or equal to 3. But I cannot use directly Markov inequality to x. Why? Because it is not a non-negative random variable. It is uniform over minus 4 to plus 4. But I converted to mod x and then I found the bound for it. And I know the relationship between x and mod x. Definitely this probability will be less than or equal to this. And because of Markov inequality again, this probability is less than or equal to 2 by 3. Hence, probability of x greater than or equal to 3 will be less than or equal to 2 by 3. Right? And what is the actual probability? When x is uniform over minus 4 to plus 4, the actual probability that x greater than or equal to 3 will be 1 by 8. Right? Now try to understand this. See, see, actual probability is 1 by 8, whereas bound give me 2 by 3, again far away from the actual probability. Hope all of you got. Whenever you will get the time, the video is there in the Google Classroom. You go through it and try to understand the concept again. Okay, fine. So this is about Markov inequality. We have discussed the examples in it also. It's very easy. You can go through the notes also and can study it well. Now next is Chebyshev's inequality. Now what is that Chebyshev's inequality? Let's try to understand it with the help of video first, then I'll explain it theoretically. What about the audio of video? Are you able to listen that video or not? Yes? Can anybody tell me whether video is
No,
audible or
ma'am.
not?
No, ma'am, it's not audible.
Not at all audible.
No, ma'am.
Not at all audible. हेलो, जरा भी सुनने को नहीं आता है आप
No,
लोगों
ma'am.
को
No.
वीडियो? ओ, ओ,
No, ma'am.
then it will be better you go through it in the Google Classroom. But whatever explanation I'm trying to give, whether it was audible in between?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello? Okay.
Yes,
What you
ma'am.
can do is for that part, yeah, for that part,
Yes,
you go
ma'am.
through the lecture recording. That will be better. In that lecture recording, you will be able to hear both my voice as well as that video. Okay, fine. So the next one is Chebyshev's inequality. Now, just now I told you why we are going towards Chebyshev's inequality. Actually, there are some reasons behind going from one to other, isn't it? Why the Marco inequality is useful. Now, why we are going from Marco to Chebyshev's. Just now I told you with the help of example, which I have shown in Excel. Ki Marco inequality is not giving me that good estimate of the upper bound of the probability, isn't it? It is far away from the actual probabilities. Why this is happening? Because I was having very less information about the variable, and that is nothing but the average value that variable is taking, right? So what next? So we are going towards Chebyshev's inequality, which will give me definitely better bound as compared to Markov inequality. Now, why it will be better? Because it is considering both. It is considering both mean as well as variance of the variable. Okay, so it will be definitely good than Markov inequality. The estimate of upper bound will be definitely good than given by the Markov inequality. So, okay, then because you are not able to listen that video, it is of no use of playing that video in during the lecture. You can go through it afterwards. So I will tell you theoretically what is happening. What is Chebyshev's inequality and the examples based on Chebyshev's inequality that we are going to discuss now. First, I will give you the statements of Chebyshev's inequality, then its proof, and then we will do the examples based on Chebyshev's inequality. I have a huge collection of examples based on Chebyshev's inequality, but we will discuss some of it, and other examples you can get it through these notes, and they are really easy. You will be able to understand, I'm sure. Okay, now what Chebyshev's inequality tells me, again, it is giving me bound only, either upper bound or lower bound. Okay, but what is the difference between the Markov inequality and Chebyshev's inequality is here the statement is random variable x has finite mean mu and finite variance sigma square. So I have the information about mean as well as the variance of the variable. And if k is any non-negative constant, like which was there in Markov, it was a, here I am saying it as k, right? Now, one more restriction in Markov, it was there that x should be a non-negative variable, right? Here it is not there. X is any variable, but its mean should be finite and variance should be finite. These are the two conditions in Chebyshev's inequality. Then what? Then the distance between variable and its mean, absolute probability of absolute difference between the variable and its mean is less than or equal to some constant k is greater than or equal to 1 minus sigma square by k square. or otherwise probability of the absolute distance between the variable and its mean, deviation, absolute deviation of the variable from its mean greater than or equal to some constant k will be less than or equal to sigma square by k square. So Chebyshev's inequality is giving me either the upper bound or lower bound. For what? For probability of what? Of the absolute distance between the variable values and its mean. Either it is less than or equal to k or greater than or equal to k. It will be given by these bounds, right? So it says that these probabilities are either greater than or equal to some number or less than or equal to some number. In this case, we are calling it as lower bound. In this case, we are calling it as upper bound. So Chebyshev's inequality is again giving me bounds, probability bounds, lower bounds and upper bounds. But here I have extra information about the variable that its finite mean mu as well as variance sigma square are known to us. Then definitely I have extra information as compared to Markov inequality situation. And definitely this bound will be better than what information I was getting through Markov inequality. Now let's have a proof of Chebyshev's inequality first. We are going to prove it for continuous random variable. You can also prove it for discrete random variable. Just what will be the difference? Integration will be replaced by summation, as well as fx will be replaced by px, and no dx will appear in case of summation. That will be the only difference, right? Okay. Try to understand the proof now. How do we define sigma square variance in terms of expectation? It is nothing but expectation of x minus mu bracket square, definition of variance, right? How do I find this expectation? This expectation is nothing but integral from minus infinity to infinity x minus mu bracket square fx dx. How do we find expectation of x? X into fx dx. How do we find expectation of gx? That means some function of x, that function multiplied by its PDF, PDF of the variable, integral over whole range of x, minus infinity to infinity. Okay. Now, see here, I'm dividing the range minus infinity to infinity between three segments. First segment is minus infinity to mu minus k. Second is mu minus k to mu plus k. Third is mu plus k to infinity. Okay. So this minus infinity to infinity, I have divided into three segments. So I'm splitting this whole integral minus infinity to infinity into three parts. See, the function is same. Just I'm adding it. Okay. Minus infinity to mu minus k, same function, plus mu minus k to mu plus k, same function, plus mu plus k to infinity, same function. Will these two will be same? Yes. Just I'm splitting the whole range into three segments. So there will not be any effect of it. Now, try to understand this part. This as well as this integral values, how they will be? Rather, all the three integrals, they will be non-negative. Why they will be non-negative? Because see, PDF is also non-negative, isn't it? As well as PDF, will it be non-negative? Yes. And what about this? This function is square. So it will be again non-negative, right? So I'm integrating non-negative function and definitely it will be non-negative. Integral will be non-negative. So what will happen if I omit this second integral from this side? Since it is not, suppose its value is 0. Will it affect to this side? No. Suppose its value is positive and I am omitting it. What will happen? This was equal to this whole. Now, if I omit this, I don't know whether it is 0 or is greater than 0. Its effect will be, since I am omitting this second integral from this, sigma square will now be greater than or equal to this part. Try to understand. I have omitted the second integral. So, sigma square will be greater than or equal to this part. Hope you are getting it. Now, try to understand this. For the first integral, what is the range of x? This is the first interval. What is the range of x? Minus infinity to mu minus k. So I'm considering all those x's which are lying between minus infinity to mu minus k. Now if I take this mu to this side, what it will be? X minus q, x minus mu will be less than or equal to minus k. Now multiply both sides by minus 1. What will happen? Minus x minus mu will be greater than or equal to k. Now square on both the sides. So if I square, this minus sign will go and x minus mu bracket square will be greater than or equal to k square. Okay. Similarly, consider the second integral range. Mu plus k less than or equal to x less than infinity. Right? So if I take this mu to this side, what will be there? K less than or equal to x minus mu. Again square on both sides. So x minus mu bracket square will be greater than or equal to k square. Try to understand. K square less than or equal to x minus mu bracket square. That means x minus mu bracket square will be greater than or equal to k square. Right? So even if I consider this range or this range, what am I getting? X minus mu square is greater than or equal to k square, irrespective of what is the range of x. Right? So what was this? Sigma square is greater than or equal to x minus mu bracket square fx dx plus x minus mu square fx dx, isn't it? Now I want to replace this x minus mu square by k square. Can I replace it? Yes, of course. Right? But what will be the effect of replacing x minus mu square by k square? I am replacing x minus mu square by a number which is less than that, isn't it? So what will be its effect on this inequality? Will there be any effect? There will not be any effect, because anyway sigma square was greater than or equal to this side. Now again I am replacing x minus mu square by a number which is smaller than that. There will not be any effect of that replacement on this inequality. Sigma square will again be greater than or equal to this side. Okay. Now I am taking this k square, which is common in both, to this side. So sigma square by k square will be greater than or equal to this. Because k square is constant with respect to integration, we are taking it out. Now what is this in terms of probability statement? Integral from minus infinity to mu minus k fx dx will be, what it will be in terms of probability? It is nothing but probability that random variable x takes value between minus infinity to mu minus k. Similarly, this will be nothing but probability that x will take value between mu plus k to infinity. Right? Now, what am I doing? This mu, let us take to this side. So it will be probability of x minus mu less than or equal to minus k plus probability of, take this mu to this side. So k will be less than or equal to x minus mu. Right? Now, see this. X minus mu is less than or equal to minus k. So if I multiply by minus 1 on both sides, what will be it? Minus of x minus mu will be greater than or equal to plus k. Why this is changing? Because I'm multiplying by minus 1 on both sides, and hence the inequality will change. And what is this side? X minus mu is greater than or equal to k, isn't it? Here it is same, just I wrote this x minus mu to this side and k to this side. So this is greater than or equal to this, right? Now see here, minus of x minus mu is greater than or equal to k, as well as plus of x minus mu is also greater than or equal to k. That means if I add these two, what does it mean? Mod of x minus mu, positive as well as negative values, are greater than or equal to k. And this is nothing but my inequality statement. So probability of mod of x minus mu greater than or equal to k is less than or equal to sigma square upon k square. Right? Now, if I subtract both the sides from 1, okay, 1 minus probability of 1 minus probability of, if I subtract both the sides from 1, what it will be? Probability of, if I subtract this side from 1 minus probability of x minus mu greater than or equal to k, what it will be? Probability of mod of x minus mu less than or equal to k. And this side will be 1 minus sigma square by k square. And that is nothing but the bound which is given by Chebyshev's inequality statement. So this is the proof for this inequality. Hope you understood it. Anybody has any doubt in any of the step? Please let me know. Do I need to explain it again? What you are required to do now is you go through the notes today itself and whatever we are doing in the lectures, and then try to ask it me in the next lecture or anytime when you feel you are free to ask me, but still you have to go through it first. Okay, now let me go ahead. Chebyshev generalized inequality. What it says, let ux be any non-negative function of the random variable x. The inequality which we have seen just now, that is particular case of this generalized inequality. Okay, what am I saying is ux be any function of x, but it should be non-negative. And if expectation of ux exists, and c is any non-negative constant, then probability of ux greater than or equal to c is less than or equal to expectation of ux upon c. Actually, this is true by Markov inequality also, because ux is a non-negative function of x, right? And what Markov inequality tells me, if x is any non-negative number, then probability of x greater than or equal to a is less than or equal to expectation of x upon a. Here, instead of x, non-negative function of x is there, which is ux, right? Okay. So let's prove this. Consider a set A of all those values of x for which function ux is taking value greater than or equal to c. Now, what will be a complement? It will be set of all those x's for which function ux is taking value less than c. Okay. Now, what will be expectation of ux? It is nothing but, by definition of expectation, integral minus infinity to infinity ux fx dx. Now, I am splitting integral into two parts. Minus infinity to infinity was the range. Now I am dividing that whole range into two parts. One part when function is taking all those values of x when ux is greater than c. And other part is all those x when function is taking value less than c. So I am dividing this whole integral into two parts. One on a and second on a complement. Now again, since c is a constant which is non-negative, here both the integrals on this side are also non-negative. Now if I omit the second integral on this side, what will be its effect? Since the value of the integral is non-negative, this expectation will be greater than or equal to only this part because I am omitting this. So it was earlier equal to, now this will be greater than or equal to. Right? Now I want to replace this ux by c. Can I replace it? Yes. What will be its effect on the inequality? C. How the C is, I am integrating over A, and how the set A is, it is the set of all those x's for which ux is greater than or equal to C. So actually I am replacing ux by C. That means I am replacing ux by that number which is less than it. Right? And then what will be its effect on inequality? Expectation of ux will be still more than this side. Why? Because I am replacing this number by a number which is less than that. And if I take this c on this side, expectation of ux upon c will be greater than or equal to integral over a fx dx. Right? So what is this? This is nothing but probability of x belonging to a. And that is nothing but probability of x belonging to a means what? A is the set of all those x's where ux is greater than or equal to c. So it is as good as probability of ux is greater than or equal to c. And hence probability of ux greater than or equal to c is less than or equal to expectation of ux upon c. Right? Now if I put ux is equal to x minus mu bracket square and c is equal to k square in this, I will get x minus mu bracket square greater than or equal to k square is less than or equal to expectation of x minus mu bracket square upon k square. Now take a square root. So mod of x minus mu greater than or equal to k, this probability will be less than or equal to, what is expectation of x minus mu bracket square? It is nothing but sigma square upon k square as it is. So Chebyshev's inequality is a particular case of Chebyshev generalized inequality. Is it clear? Any doubt? Please write in the chat box. Is it clear? The proof is clear? I don't find any difference between typed notes and handwritten notes because anyway, it is not possible for me to write it just before you. It will take more time. So I thought let's discuss it by taking the notes only. And I think it is easy. Any doubt? Please write in the chat box if any doubt is there. I don't know whether you people are not getting or don't want to answer. Fine, I will move ahead then. Examples. Let x be a variable such that probability of x less than or equal to 0 is 0 and expectation of x mu, then prove that probability of x greater than or equal to 2 mu is less than or equal to half. Try to understand the example. If you are giving any kind of competitive examples like IIT JAM or any other, here in this example, nowhere it has been mentioned that you use Chebyshev's inequality and check this. और इवन ये चेक करने के लिए भी नहीं बोला होगा. Find out probability of x greater than or equal to 2 mu is less than or equal to what? How will you find? In that case, you have to remember that you can use either Markov inequality, Chebyshev's inequality to answer such type of questions. Now, what does it say? What is the meaning of this statement? X is less than or equal to 0 means this, its probability is 0 means this variable is not taking value less than 0. means it is a non-negative random variable, right? And information about expectation of x is given to you. Hence, you can either use Markov inequality or you can use Chebyshev generalized inequality. Here I use Chebyshev generalized inequality, but you can also use Markov inequality because the variable is non-negative, right? And information about expectation of x is given to you. So by Markov inequality, probability of x greater than or equal to a is less than or equal to expectation of x upon a. And what is expectation of x? Mu. What is my a? 2 mu. So it will be less than or equal to half, right? Or if I use Chebyshev generalized inequality, what is it? Probability of ux is greater than or equal to c is less than or equal to expectation of ux upon c. Isn't it? What is my ux in this case? It is x. I want ux to be a non-negative function. Here x itself is a non-negative variable. So I can take ux is equal to x. It is greater than or equal to what do I want? 2 mu, 2 times its mean. Is less than or equal to expectation of ux upon c. What is expectation of ux? Mu given to us. What is C? It is 2 mu, right? So this is less than or equal to half. So why I gave this example, you may feel it very simple. But see here, nowhere it has been mentioned that use Chebyshev's inequality or use Markov's inequality. So tell me, if you don't know these inequalities, how will you find these probability? Try to understand this and try to remember these points. Keep it has been not mentioned about the distribution of the variable, either mean is given or mean and variance are given, you can find out the probability bounds by Markov inequality or Chebyshev's inequality. I will take one more example and will stop there. Here it has been given that x follows binomial distribution with n is equal to 100 and p is equal to 0.4. So distribution is actually known to you. And find upper bound for probability of mod x minus expectation of x greater than or equal to 12 and mod x minus expectation of x less than or equal to 6. Straightforward, we have to use Chebyshev's inequality because first thing, यहाँ पे we are interested in probability bound for mod of x minus its mean less than or equal to something or greater than or equal to something. And Chebyshev's inequality gives me bounds for such kind of things. So even if it has been not been mentioned that use Chebyshev's inequality, suppose you don't know that binomial distribution is there, mean and variance are given, you can use Chebyshev's inequality. Now here mean and variance are not mentioned, but distribution is given. And we know for binomial distribution, mean is NP and variance is NPQ. Now putting the values, I'm getting mean as 40 and variance as 24. Now upper bound for x mod of x minus expectation of x greater than or equal to 12. By Chebyshev's inequality, probability of mod of x minus expectation of x greater than or equal to k is less than or equal to sigma square by k square. Now here what is my k? K is 12. What is sigma square? 24. What is k square? K square. K is 12. Square is 144. So bound I am getting here is 1 by 6. Why it is called as upper bound? Kyunki this probability is less than or equal to 1 by 6. Maximum it can be 1 by 6. Right? Similarly, another probability is asked, lower bound for this probability to be less than or equal to 6. Now, by Chebyshev's inequality, less than or equal to bound is given by 1 minus sigma square by k square. And putting the values into it, we are getting it as 1 by 3. So lower bound for probability of x mod of x minus expectation of x is less than or equal to 6 is 1 by 3. Okay, why it is called as lower bound? Kyunki this probability is minimum it will be 1 by 3. Minimum it will be 1 by 3 or it will be greater than 1 by 3. So it is lower bound, right? So Chebyshev's inequality is giving me either lower bound or upper bound. Remember that. See, in reality, most of the time we found the variables are found are following normal distribution, or even if they are following some symmetric distribution, or if I know the form of the distribution, I can find the probabilities. But if I don't know the distribution, I don't know. So because if I know don't know, suppose the distribution of the variable, but I know that it is symmetrically distributed, then I can use that law. Which law? Normal law. If it is symmetrically distributed, we know that around 65% of the observations, they are lying between mean plus minus 1 sigma. Around 95 variables, they are percent variable values of the variables, they are lying between mean plus minus 2 sigma. Around 99% of the values of the variables, they are lying between mean plus minus 3 sigma. But suppose even if the variable is not symmetrically distributed and unimodal, can I get some kind of information about the probability bounds? I can get by using Chebyshev's inequality. Just if you know the mean and variance of the variable x, you can get upper bound or lower bound for the probabilities by using the Chebyshev's inequality, even if the distribution of x is not symmetric or unimodal. Hope it is clear to you. I request once again all of you to go through the videos, try to understand the concept. If any doubt you are having, please let me know. Okay, we will stop here.